Welcome to our camper. Last April, we bought this camper used. It was, I think it was in Colorado, and Glenn talked the guy into delivering it for us, which was very fortuitous because he was actually going to Idaho, and we had just bought a truck in Idaho, and so we got the truck and camper all in one big swoop, and we love it. It's kind of smoky. I've got an incense burning. Well, whatever. Be part of my spirit world. Glenn was counting how many days he's actually spent living in the camper, and he's been here in the camper more than he has been at home. I'm pushing around 150 days, which is crazy to me. We spend a lot of time here in this little tiny space. Now, tiny spaces aren't for all of you. They work very well for Glenn and I. I am a very outgoing introvert, so I definitely need places that are my own to recharge, and that's hard in a little space. So that I haven't quite figured out yet, but I'm going to show you how I've set up our camper. It's not ideal. As you can imagine, I was working last year and busy and in it a lot, and so I haven't done all the details that I would like to just really dial it out, but I'll share with you what it looks like now. I'm going to start in the kitchen because that's the most interesting place for me. This is the overview of the kitchen. Sink, my Vitamix because I can't live without it, a little counter prep area, my stove top, the oven, and some cabinets. For the uppers, we have 2 cabinets where I keep dishes and food, and then we have this space which used to have a microwave in it, but we're not microwave people. I've organized things in bins just because it's easier for me to keep track of it, and it's easier to see what I have going on. This can just be a catch-all space, so having little places for everything is very helpful. So this is my bin for soft vegetables that don't need to be refrigerated. Avocados, tomatoes, things like that. Highly perishable, so I want to be able to see through it in case one of them is getting a little bit smushy. This little bin is for garlic, onions, and sweet potatoes, and it's my staple bin. I pretty much have it full at all times because I use these ingredients in nearly everything I cook. And then these 2 containers are cereal. This is my granola, and I'll put a link to that video at the end of this one because it's really epic, and it's an easy thing to make in the camper. This is my raw superfood cereal. It's a Bircher's muesli mix, and I just take a 1/4 cup of it out and soak it in a little almond or coconut milk overnight, and then that's breakfast. I've also done a video on that, so I'll put those 2 at the end card. And then I met a sweet woman, Molly, and she gave me a rose, so I'm drying it. So this cupboard is a really important cupboard, especially when you're cooking. My stove is here, my sink is here, my prep station's here. I need all of the things that I'm going to use at a moment's notice to be handy. As a cook, it's usually olive oil, vinegars, anything for finishing a dish, salt, pepper, plates, all of the things for plating, bowls for mixing. It's really important to have your cabinet or your kitchen organized so that it facilitates you as a cook. So this is my facilitation cupboard. It's also where we keep our dishes. These are my muesli containers, so I use those almost every day. A cute little pitcher, because every tea drinker needs a little spot of milk from time to time. These things are fantastic. They're from Ikea, and they are wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. They are just little adjustable stands for holding dishware in place. I have one for my plates and one for my bowls, and I love them. We can do crazy off-road driving and come back and everything's still all orderly and in its place, except for the glasses. All right, what else is in here? Pint glasses for mixed drinks, because again, we don't like drinking out of plastic. Salt. Yes, I have 3 different kinds of salts because that's just how I roll. Back here, nesting bowls. Mixing bowls are very important. Serving bowls are very important. I love these. I love red. I think it's a beautiful color. And these are silicone and they bend, and so they don't take up a defined amount of real estate in the cupboard. You can kind of squish them into places, and that's really nice. So I'm really into these little nesting bowls. And the coffee fits in there, and the tea fits in, and it's a perfect little tower. Okay, put this stuff back. So cute. Now over here we have these bins that are fantastic. These bins are soft plastic, so they bend and you can kind of smush them. They're also from Ikea, and the most fantastic thing about them, they fit the long way into camper cupboards. Those people at Ikea are so smart. I could actually fit 3 of them in this cupboard. I took one out to use in the house because they're just so great for putting stuff in. Love those bins. Okay, we just flipped it a 180. These 2 cupboards above the table are where I keep all my dried beans, lentils, things that are in big storage containers. These storage containers are the best for campers. The reason being is the little lip that comes out here mirrors on the bottom of the container and the lid, and so it makes a really nice little tight seal. So unlike these containers, this lip sticks out, and so when you're going down a bumpy road, this kind of action happens and these lids can come off, and it's a drag when it's stuff like wild rice or lentils or things that make a huge mess in the camper. So I don't recommend these. These I love. I'm going to switch all of them out when we get home. They're Cambro, and again I'll put a link to some of this stuff below. Fantastic. You can get them in, I think, 8 ounce, 16 ounce, and this is 32 ounce, which is great for things like lentils, beans, because you can buy those 1 kilo packets and they'll fit in here perfectly. Other things that I like to put up here are things like rye flour and whole wheat flour, bags of basmati rice, all of that kind of thing. It's basically my pantry cupboard. This is our most controversial cupboard because Glenn makes coffee and tea in the morning, and he likes having his stuff like right there, not buried behind whatever I dug out the day before. So we have a couple different kinds of local honey that we've been buying from beekeepers, and coffee, tea, and then I hide stuff like almonds and peanuts, like my kind of snacky foods that I don't want to be digging up there in the bin for. I hide them in here. So I have to keep this fairly organized for sanity sake. It's hard to take up counter space when you have a fruit obsession like I do and eat as much fruit as we eat. So this little bucket is my bread proofing bucket. It's dual purpose. It's also a fruit bucket. On the days that I do make bread, I try to do it right before I go and stock up on my fruit. So that's a wonderful thing. I have a lid that goes on here for proofing, and I like dual purpose items. This box, it's kind of ridiculously big and totally unorganized, but there's a method. This is my spice box. Spices I don't use as much down here, spices that I use daily on the top. And since we don't have 4 people sitting at the table, we can have things over there without really compromising leg space. This is a pantry for canned goods, cocoa nibs, peanut butter, almond butter, what else? Quinoa, tomato paste, dolmas, yeast, dog food, because I like biscuits for the little doggies that look really hungry, sugar, things like that. Under the sink, this is my wild zone. It's actually very wild. I have the divider that goes in a case of wine, those little cardboard dividers, and the wine bottles fit in slots. I've just taken it out of the case and put it in there and molded it into this portion of the cupboard. And that's wonderful because all of my oils, vinegars, booze, jars, things that come in like glass jars like syrups can all just be stuffed under here and not bang into each other and break. And all of my cleaning stuff is here. The broom, countertop spray, all-purpose cleaner, scrub for the sink, and all of that sort of thing. Under here, just the trash. Now under the oven I have another drawer, and this is where I keep my pans. Of course I've got some lentils and chickpeas here, and then I just stack and nest my pans. My must-haves are a 3-quart saucepan with a fitted lid, and then a 5.5-quart cast iron bean pot or a Dutch oven, also called a cocotte. These are serving mixing bowls because a lot of times we'll have little barbecues or parties or meet people, and it's nice to have a couple bigger bowls for things like salads and salsas and chips and that sort of thing. And then here are my frying pans. This is a wonderful little dish for the camper. I could roast vegetables in here. I could bake cake, brownies, double it as a cooking sheet, kind of. It's just a wonderful dish, and I can serve items in it as well. Pot holders. I've got an 8-inch copper pan that I love, so it's my egg pan, and then I've got a 10 or 11-inch cast iron, a 1/4 sheet pan, and cutting board. This drawer is our utensil drawer. I'm not sure how the Leatherman got in here. Oh, I was using it to break up ice cubes, but it's just kind of stayed there for some reason.